CPE350. This is the Transport Phenomena module. My name is Allison Nidoma. I go by Allie. I've been teaching in the department as a lecturer since January of 2019, and I'll be teaching the first half of this module, weeks 1 through 5. I'll be joined by my colleague, Dr. Payman Mokadam, who will be teaching weeks 6 to 9, and note there, we're going to be ending the module after the first 9 weeks. We're compressing that content just a little bit so that you're going to have the last few weeks in this semester to focus on your design projects. My hair is a little bit longer from when I took that photo because a couple of months before I started my job search for Sheffield, I shaved my head. I would advise you all to consider carefully what your career plans are before you shave your head. All right, on to the aims of this course. So, first off, we're going to develop a through line of inquiry connecting heat, mass, and momentum transport. And that's pedagogical language for saying we're going to give you the tools so that you can understand the connections between all of these different types of transport. And it takes a little bit of abstract thinking, but it's well worth the effort. Next, we're going to be formulating mathematical models for transport phenomena and articulating the boundary and initial conditions as well as other constraints that are needed to solve them. Again, the emphasis here is on formulating the problem. That is what we as engineers get paid to do. It's translating the real world into mathematics. When it comes to solving equations, that can be done computationally. That's usually what would happen. Or sometimes you might collaborate with a mathematician to get a fancy analytical solution. But what we as engineers do is to formulate those maths. And then finally, we're going to be solving a range of authentic transport problems. And problem solving is a little bit different from just equation solving, right? We're going to be looking at the solutions for heat and mass transfer in a range of systems, many of which hopefully will have relevance for your design project. And we're going to be evaluating the answers to see whether they really make sense, whether we believe that we've set up the problems correctly, and what they tell us about the system. All right, so let's go over a couple of things to help you succeed in this class. And I'm going to move over to our Blackboard page and give you a brief navigation to the Blackboard pages. When you first enter, you'll come to our welcome page. And what's important here is that you've got a course calendar that shows you week by week what content we're going to be covering during the tutorial sessions that we share synchronously. And so you have here the subject content. On the nota bene column, there's any deliverables that are due that week. And we also have a traffic color mapping to sort of indicate how hard we think the content is going to be for that week. And that will have been based on previous year's students and how challenging they found the content to be. Jumping right in, we'll go to the module overview. And this is a summary of the syllabus. If you'd like to see the complete syllabus, go ahead and click and download that document. What is probably most important to you here are the assessments. There's going to be 5 assessed components. Every week, you're going to have a reflection on learning. And this is the only component of the module that's going to be completed with a group. Each of you will be assigned a tutorial group, and each week you'll complete a reflection on what you've learned that week and particularly how that's affected your metacognition. So that's the only group component. The first large component that will be due is due in week 7, and it's a heat transfer portfolio. And this assignment is actually taking the place of half of a normal final exam. It's going to cover chapters 1 through 6 in the course notes, and it's only 10 pages. It's an assignment that we're going to do together during the tutorials, and so you'll have guidance week by week for building up this portfolio so that you don't have to scramble and put something together in week 6. The next assessment that you'll have is in week 9. It's a Blackboard quiz. Payman is going to run it, and that's going to cover the content in chapters 7 to 9. Attendance will be taken in the tutorials, and this attendance score is going to include participation, engagement, and your preparedness. So be prepared to engage with us and demonstrate that you are doing this so that we can give you full marks for attendance. And the last part of the assessment is a final exam, which is only worth 35%. It's only going to cover the content in chapters 7 to 10, and it will take place during the exam period. All right, so about this heat transfer portfolio and these reflections on learning, if you want to learn more, come over to the module assessment and feedback page. And here you can see all of the assessments that are going to be submitted digitally, except for the reflections on learning. The reflections on learning, you click over here on that link to your journal. And so if you want to learn more, we'll open this content page up and have a look. And this explains why we're doing the reflections on learning, what we expect from you, and how the assessment is going to take place. Similarly, I'll be populating this heat transfer portfolio description at some point in the next week. All right, the last thing you need to know before coming to your first class is how to prepare. And to do that, go to the Lectures tab. And here, week by week, we're going to be updating this with what we want you to complete before coming to your lecture. And so here, I've given you some required reading in your course notes, and here's a link to your course notes. I'm asking you to complete a self-test. The score here is not going to contribute towards your mark in any way, but I may look to see if you've completed this to gauge your preparedness for the tutorial. So this could become a small portion of your attendance mark, but certainly I'm never going to worry about your score here. Finally, I've got a tutorial sheet here, and these are some questions for you to work on before you come to the first tutorial session. And by the end of this week in which I'm recording, I will have posted the first couple of lecture videos for you to watch before coming to class. And so I realize this first class is going to be a lot of work before you attend. Normally, I would like you to spend about 3 hours preparing for your tutorial session. This week, it's probably going to be more like 4 or 5 because you need to adjust to using the website, find out what materials are here, download the content. I apologize for that extra effort, but it will make the rest of the course run much more smoothly. So this is your Blackboard course. Please do send your suggestions to the blog. We'll be checking that on Mondays and Fridays and responding to any questions that haven't been answered already. And yes, when you come to the tutorial session, just click on this Blackboard Collaborate link and that'll send you straight to where you need to be. All right, look forward to seeing you on Thursday, the 1st of October. Bye.